Moses Moody enters year 5 for the Golden State Warriors, but if he wants to take a big leap this upcoming season, he needs to master one skill set. I'll tell you what that is. Coming up.
You are Locked On Warriors, your daily Golden State Warriors podcast.
What are they going to say now?
Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's the good word, everyone? Welcome to the Locked On Warriors. We're part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. You can check out the show on YouTube. Check us out wherever you get your audio podcasts. And while we have you, hit that thumbs up, smash that subscribe, and tell a friend to tell a friend for free Warriors content coming your way just about every single day. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Football season is here. Right now, new customers can bet $5, and if your bet wins, you'll get $300 in bonus bets. Download the FanDuel app or FanDuel.com to get started. My name's Charlie Walter, covered the team for 95.7 The Game. That's the flagship for the Warriors, also on TV for CBS News Bay Area. Camp's under a month. Kuminga decision's about 3 weeks away at this point. We got content on deck, but leading us up to the regular season, breakdowns of the 8 to 9 players that we absolutely know will be suiting up for Golden State, unless something crazy happens. Always, that's a possibility. But that's what we're going to be doing leading up to game time, breaking things down and doing deep dives on certain players. And we start with really one of the most important players on the Warriors team. All their former first-round picks are extremely important, and Moses Moody is one of those guys. What a weird season he had last year. We'll go through that. We'll go through the Warriors' commitment to Moses Moody and the swing skill set that he needs to really perfect to be the best version of himself. In a vacuum, though, Moses Moody is a 23-year-old now that has received more minutes every season in the NBA and has improved his production every season in the NBA. A lot of talk that he doesn't get enough PT, and it was true for, I think, portions of last season. But by the end of the year, entering the playoffs, he was a mainstay in the Warriors starting lineup, in some finishing lineups, and 25-plus minutes a night were just about guaranteed from Moses Moody until playoffs came. We saw late in the season, Warriors trusted him on, he was picking up point of attack on Ja Morant, on some smaller guards, really using his length to pressure the ball handlers and make entry passes difficult, slow down the offense a little bit. And that was kind of his specialty by the end of the season. But obviously shooting is the name of the game with Moses Moody. We're going to get into that. But rookie season averaged 11 minutes per game, just 4 points, but was trusted in his rookie season considering Steve Kerr gave him some minutes in that Western Conference Finals on the way to an NBA championship against Dallas. And he said straight up, like, Moses is one of those guys that kind of knows, despite his age, what needs to be done and what we need from him. I've always called him kind of a low ceiling, high floor type of player that I don't think is ever going to be an all-star. If he is, shame on me. But I think he can be a really good rotational player that knows his role and does it well for a long time in the NBA. Second season, after the 11 minutes, he goes for 13, barely increases his points by just a half a point per game, makes a little jump in 2024 when he increases his minutes to 17 and scores 8 points per game. And then this past season, with most of his contributions coming in the second half, he averaged about 10 points on 37% from three and upped his minutes to 22 minutes per game for Golden State. Weird season, though. He had the great preseason to the point where Kolsky and I were talking about a meritocracy, saying, quit playing Lindy Waters so much. Moses Moody has earned it with his play on the court. At some point, you got to give him some more minutes. And the Warriors didn't do that out of the gate. They kind of eased him in 14, 15, 12, those types of games. But they did give him a contract. 3 years worth nearly $40 million on an extension. Remember, Jonathan Kuminga was extension eligible, and clearly Jonathan Kuminga did not get that extension. They gave one to Moses. But Lindy Waters was taking some of his minutes early, despite Moses really having a good start to the season, shooting-wise, production-wise, just wasn't receiving the minutes. And then the Butler trade made Moody a focal point, as we know. He became that point of attack defender that we were talking about, trying to replace Andrew Wiggins, and was in a starting lineup that I believe, don't have the exact number in front of me, but I want to say they started off maybe 14-0. Him, Pods, Draymond, Butler, and Steph Curry. But does the injury explain the struggles towards the end of last season? Because it was announced after the year that on his shooting thumb, his UCL, he would receive surgery. And Moses even admitted that it was a struggle last year, playing down the stretch with that injury. Got off to a great start a season ago. That awesome preseason that we talked about. He went in double figures 3 of the first 4 games. Portland had 17, then had 15 against the Pelicans, but wasn't getting more than 15 minutes because you had Kyle Anderson, and Lindy Waters, and GP2, and DeAnthony Melton, just a ton of bodies. It was that strength in numbers. You get 15, and you get 12, and you get 17 towards the beginning of last season that I thought kind of plagued the Warriors, because once they did that consolidation trade for Jimmy Butler, and obviously it's because Jimmy Butler was attached to it, things were a lot better for players like Moses Moody and for the overall morale of the team. But was averaging 15 minutes through the first couple months of the season, was effective, but again, not a huge role was asked of him early, and I was questioning the front office, saying, why would you extend this guy if you don't believe in him? If JK was the most negatively affected in the Jimmy Butler trade, and that's clear that he was, because he sent Draymond to the bench before the injury, and Draymond was taking a back seat. It was Kuminga's turn to be the second scorer, to be the dude. It was time for the Warriors to see what they had in Jonathan Kuminga. He gets hurt. He comes back. They could never really figure out a rotation that wasn't wonky with Jimmy Butler and Jonathan Kuminga, which concluded with DNPs for the majority of the playoffs until Steph Curry got hurt. But if JK was most negatively affected in the Butler trade, it was Moses Moody who was the Warrior that benefited the most, because he was a 25-minute per game player after, was someone that was part of the best starting lineup, like we said, and was a consistent master of his role until he wasn't. The playoffs were hell for Moses Moody. We're going to get into what he did in the playoffs last season, why it maybe left a sour taste in some of the Warriors fans' mouths, and why he is not looked at as a trustworthy contributor entering the season. But we're going to find some statistics, some splits, some good from Moody's game that can make us feel confident about Moses entering year 4, and also that skill set I've been telling you about, that if he perfects, it will greatly change that ceiling I was talking about and the overall trajectory of his game. That's coming up on Locked On Warriors. First, let's tell you about America's #1 sportsbook. That is FanDuel. The NFL season is back, and FanDuel's making sure you're ready for kickoff with a can't-miss offer. Right now, new customers can bet just $5, and if your bet wins, you'll get $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. Why I love FanDuel: the options are truly limitless. Player props, live bets, teasers, parlays, over-unders, anything you want to bet on, there's a good chance it's there. If you got quick fingers, you can literally get in next play. Is it going to be a run? Is it going to be a pass? Makes every game and every play more exciting, whether you're watching your team or just keeping an eye on the overall league or your fantasy lineup. It's quick, easy, and the best way to add a little more energy to your Sundays. So are you ready to play? Download the FanDuel app by visiting FanDuel.com. That's how you get started. That's FanDuel.com to place your first $5 bet. Moses Moody in the playoffs was a roller coaster ride. I think that's the best way we could say it, a roller coaster ride. But entering the playoffs, he played some awesome basketball that we cannot forget about, and we have to bring it back up on your radar right now. Went for double figures in 18 of 20 games post Jimmy Butler. Shot about 38% from 3 in those 2 months. And then came Milwaukee. So 18 of 20. he had scored in double figures. He was 15, he was 12, he was 10, he was 14, consistently. In the starting lineup, looked like someone you're building upon. March 18th against Milwaukee, we thought nothing of it, but after the season, it's when he said the injury occurred. And at first I thought the injury, he always had ice packs on his knees. He looked like, a transformer or something. I thought at first it was the knees that was keeping him out of those playoff games. And because the minutes reduction, whether you're shooting well or not, it just doesn't make sense how you're consistently relied upon for 25 minutes a night. And then those minutes are going to Guy Santos and, same position or not, Pat Spencer's getting some minutes in there and anyone's playing but Moses Moody, it truly felt like. But Milwaukee on March 18th is when he had the thumb injury, the right UCL, went 2 for 14 over the next 2 games. So, okay, that's an immediate point to and say the injury is clearly affecting him. But he did start to pick it back up and shoot the ball pretty well to where I don't think you can draw a line in the sand that the injury was the sole reason that he didn't play well, just like Brandon Pajemski, who had 2 surgeries in the offseason. I think that if you draw the line in the sand and blame the injury, then you don't get to point to someone like Pods and say, all right, well, the 26 or 28 that you had in the last game against Minnesota, that's nullified too. And Moses Moody, who scored 12 points in like 45 seconds against Minnesota when it was out of hand, that's nullified too. I will say lingering injuries can cause some inconsistencies and most importantly, cause frustration. And in any sport, in anything in life, mindset, confidence, self-esteem, self-belief, all these things are crucial. And frustration, I guess you can ask a boxer and they could say with frustration, they take it out on someone's head. I don't know, probably not even boxing either. I think I've seen enough of those movies to where they say, you got to stay even keeled. In any sport, being frustrated is never good. You want to stay within yourself. And he had those weird playoffs to where, like I said, real time, just thought he couldn't make a shot, so he sat. But Moses said that he could barely grip the ball, was really struggling to, off the catch, just get a feel for it. It was just a completely different game once he had that injury. But it doesn't explain the weird playoffs because he was getting 25 minutes a night against Houston in the 7-game series. He reached double figures 3 times in the series, had 25 points in one of the games. So I wasn't looking at Moses having a dud of a playoff like Pods consistently had until the Minnesota series. That's where he missed 14 straight shots in the last game, bridging the last game of the Rockets' first-round matchup and the second-round matchup against the Minnesota Timberwolves. 14 straight shots he missed. There was the game, I can't remember which one it was, but it seemed like Moody kept getting the ball with 2 seconds on the shot clock for about a 30-foot three. Couldn't provide any separation. He'd get blocked. He'd airball it, brick, shot clock violation. And that was a lasting image. There was one where, still to this day, and when I saw it, I said, that'll probably forever be one of the worst shots I've ever seen in my life. It was that 4-foot floater that he airballed by about 17 feet. I don't even know how the math's there, but it was bad. You remember it. Barely played against Minnesota in that crucial Game 3 loss. I'm talking 25 minutes a night every single game against Houston, and then in the Game 3 loss, barely even played. Then randomly checks back in the last quarter of the elimination game after not really playing in the series, which we can point to and say injury, but if it was an injury, the series is over at that point. You want to rest him up for the offseason, get him healthy, unless he didn't say anything to Celebrini and the staff, and he's just going out there fighting through pain, which is very possible at that point. But he went for a quick 12 points in the last quarter of that elimination game. And there were parts of last season where he had some heat checks and looked good. Specifically, a loss early in the season against the Nets, where towards the end of the first half, it was the Moses Moody show. He had like 10 consecutive points. And then again in the fourth quarter, you're asking, why is Moody not a part of the rotation? It was just weird. It was very inconsistent for the majority of last season. All the way through the playoffs, minus that stretch in February and March where you kind of knew what you were going to get from Moses just about every single night. But the Warriors have made a commitment to Moody. He's one of the few contracts they'd actually have to trade. So if they find someone that maybe provides size or some needed ball handling or something that is more important than Moses' skill sets, because defensively, I like Moses Moody, and then shooting. Those are the two big things that he can bring to the table. But if he's just 37%, not that that's bad by any means, that's not what you necessarily need. You need Moody to be someone, to be his best, eclipsing 40%. He needs to be someone that is a bucket. And he got hot last year. There were plenty of games he went 5 for 7, but the inconsistencies are something that you would hope by year 4 he has figured out. His corner threes, always money. The wing threes, top of the key. I mean, just the sample size of threes that we got a season ago, it wasn't enough. We need to see more in terms of Moses just getting it and ripping it. Talking about Steph Curry's, 0.5 second, the 0.5 second rule that he has. That's something that Moses needs to get better at. We're going to talk about all the things that Moses needs to do entering next season, plus just the Warriors' commitment to Moody, why he's very tradable, but at the same time, he's only tradable if he has a real good start to the season. And at that point, would you even consider trading him? It's a weird position that they're in with Moses Moody because he seems like the easy filler contract that you throw in with Kuminga to get the Malik Monk deal done, but the Warriors don't really want to tie him to anything. His name has never really been attached to deals like Jonathan Kuminga's has. We're going to break this all down and discuss it. Leave your comments on Moses Moody as a whole. It's coming up. The debate on Locked On Warriors. All right, let's tell you about Doer in the new store that they have in San Francisco. Here's a look for those of you watching on YouTube at my slim fits. These things are stretchy. 5 times the stretch of traditional jeans so you feel comfortable and look good at the same time. That's why I love these things so much. They also have Cool Max technology that regulates your body temperature and wicks moisture, keeps you cool and comfortable as temperatures change. It's 75 degrees in the daytime in the Bay Area. It's 59 at night. You need that versatile pant that's good for any season because sometimes you have multiple seasons in the same day in San Francisco. They're the most comfortable pair of jeans I own. It's not even close, and they look really good. They combine classic jeans wear style with the kind of comfort and performance you get from athletic wear, the best of both worlds, and it's jeans wear. Not just jeans. They got shirts as well, button downs. They're designed to look great and stay comfortable all day, no matter what you're doing. Doer are the pioneers of blending technical innovation with everyday clothing. They invented the original performance denim. There's a reason why they call them the world's most comfortable pants, and you can find out for yourself because Hayes Valley, that is where you find a new Doer store in San Francisco. 567 Hayes Street in Hayes Valley. That's 567 Hayes Street. Mention our promo Locked On SF in store. You'll get 15% off your first order or check them out online. shopdoer.com/lockedonsf for 15% off. That is shopdoer.com, DUER/lockedonsf. The Warriors have invested nearly $40 million over the next 3 years into Moses Moody. The contract is extremely fair, I would think, because it factors in that Moody's still young. He can get better. Game can slow down. Processing speed, it goes up. And next thing you know, you have a player for the next 3 years that maybe worth 16 to 20, and you're paying him 13. But at this current moment, is 13 an overpay? Depends who you ask. But I would say overall, it's a pretty fair contract. And the fact that the Warriors were able to get it to him last season before he improved his stock, I would say, throughout the course of the year, was smart doing on the Warriors because he's one of the few contracts that they have to trade, unfortunately and fortunately at the same time. If he works and gets better, why would you trade him? You have someone on a pretty good deal that you can not build around, but he can be a building block to the next iteration of Warriors basketball on a team-friendly deal. And if he does not improve his stock from last season, then you would have to think that it may be a hard contract to trade by itself. Not that you'd want to trade it by itself, but if that player that provided size or provided ball handling or just better shooting, more consistent shooting, whatever you needed, an alpha, whatever you needed come deadline time was there for 20-something million dollars. Moses Moody is a way to get to that number to where you can make the financials work. But if he doesn't get a ton better, you likely have to attach sweeteners to it for someone to take on Moody's deal. Otherwise, they would say, why do I want the guy for the Warriors that averages 9 points per game, plays 18 minutes, and has not been able to figure it out completely through now year 5, halfway through year 5 in the NBA. But they've not tried to trade Moses Moody, have the Warriors. JK's been in talks with the Suns when it was Kuminga for KD, Kuminga and others for KD that got shut down, obviously. But that was all but done from the Warriors side. They were willing to make that deal. It was Kuminga that was attached, not Moody that we think. The Paul George deal, it was Kuminga that we think would have been attached, not Moses Moody. The Lauri Markkanen imaginary deal, Moses Moody was involved in that. But again, I don't think the Warriors ever really even entertained that offer. And Moses Moody has never really been a name that has been entertained in trade offers throughout the years. And he's been a slow grind on their return on investment. It's not been a situation where overnight it clicked. He's gotten a little better every season, and you hope that year 5 is the year that he can really take his game to a different level. But there's clearly trust there. I mentioned that Western Conference Finals against Dallas in 22 that Moody was playing in. It's because there was trust. Steve Kerr said it after the game. Moses knows what he needs to do, knows where he needs to be. He's not going to screw up. We feel confident, even as a rookie, that we can play him a few minutes in the WCF. Moses does so much of his damage driving baseline, corner threes, relocating for threes, off the pump fake, a couple dribbles, knock down a three, can hit some movement threes, but needs a quicker release, needs quicker processing time. But the swing skill set that he truly just needs to perfect is shooting as a whole, mid-range and three-pointers. Because I always thought that high floor that he has and that low ceiling, it's due to him not being able to really create. Like you don't, how comfortable do you feel with the ball in Moses' hand with 7 seconds left in a game down 1? Now, he's never really going to be in that position. But there was the playoff series, the game in the series I was telling you about last year where 3 seconds on the shot clock, they put the ball in his hands. That's not who you want. Podziemski, too. Those are two guys, you don't want them creating their own shot for the most part. And that's why his ceiling's a little bit lower, because there are a lot of guys in the game that can create that way, and he's not one of them. But one skill set that can take him over the top is just the ability to be a knockdown shooter. He's got a pretty stroke. It's a very clean release, and 37% a season ago, and just about every season of his career, he's been 37%. 80% free throw shooter last season. Like, he's a pretty solid, but not outstanding shooter. Can he improve that just a little bit to where he's knocked down? He's 41% from deep. That is the number one skill set that I think can take him over the top, especially on a team that's going to have shooters, that's going to have someone like Jimmy that can break down the defense. You can play off Steph's gravity. Draymond can facilitate and find you. All these different things provide Moses the chance to get a lot of open threes. I'm talking 6, 7, 8 3-pointers in a game. If he can knock down 4 or 5 of them, it's a completely different game. He can be a sharpshooter on this team. Numbers say he's just a solid shooter, but he can be a sharpshooter. I truly believe that. It's his swing skill set. And in order for Moses to be the best version of himself, he will need to take that next step as a shooter, not just catch and shoot threes off the dribble, pull up, floater, all of it. This team has a chance to be a lethal shooting squad if all breaks right. Al Horford, potentially. DeAnthony Melton, potentially. The name Seth Curry has been brought up. You already have Steph Curry. You already have Buddy Hield. You have Quentin Post, prolific three-point shooter at 7 feet. Podziemski is someone that Steve Kerr truly believes is a 40% knockdown guy, or he wouldn't be saying take 10 of them a game. And you factor in Moody too, you could potentially have 9 guys on this team that can really, really shoot the basketball. If all breaks right, we could be talking about a really good shooting team that the Warriors have, and that would be a beautiful thing to watch after last season's feast or famine Warriors, where you'd hit 3 3-pointers one game and 22 the next. Another thing with Moses, and it's not just Moses, it's not just Kuminga, it's not just Podziemski, it's pretty much all the young guys on this team. They need to make quicker decisions. Get it and rip it. Get it and go. Steph Curry talks about the 0.5 second rule, the catch in the act. Make a decision immediately upon receiving the ball, whether it's shooting, whether it's passing, or whether it's taking it to the basket. Moses has been hesitant at times, but got a lot better in that department last season. Specifically, I thought with the shooting the basketball. He didn't really hesitate. He didn't need much space to let it fly. Keep the ball moving. Holding the ball longer than 0.5 seconds, it allows defense to get set. We heard Kerr this offseason talk about the importance of passing and penetrating and cutting into the teeth of a defense and breaking things down. And that's something that the 0.5 second rule kind of alludes to. Holding the basketball, isolation, it makes everything worse. Everything. Unless you're talking about the defense, then it makes the defense better because it gives them time to react to everything and eliminates the momentum on the offensive side of the ball. It also allows the defense to force errors when you're moving the basketball. And when the Warriors were at their best a season ago, whether it was month 1, whether it was month 6 of last year, whether it was Lindy Waters making the pass, whether it was Trace Jackson Davis, whether it was Jimmy Butler, a lot of iterations of Warriors ball a season ago. But when they were at their best, they were whipping it. That's what they do. They whip, they cut, they find Curry, they use Curry's gravity to get other open shooters. Rapid decisions by the offensive players when defenders are closing out. That's how you lead to mismatches. That's how you can really take advantage of the defense being out of place, not having their hands up, whatever. Dominoes start to fall, as Steph Curry says, when you can read the game at warp speed. That is something that Moses Moody needs to do this upcoming season in order to take the next step in his game. NBA Top 100. The Locked On NBA Top 100 is here. It's voted on by myself and the other NBA hosts of the Locked On Podcast Network. Our Top 100 was formed by the experts that cover these teams and these players every day. You can find the full list on Locked On Sports Today on YouTube or wherever you get your podcasts. Don't miss my reaction to this Top 100 on a later show this week. We're keeping it flexible as of right now. Could be tomorrow, could be Wednesday, could be Thursday. We'll figure it out. But later this week, I will react. I truly don't know. I know where Steph Curry wound up. That's a tease. I don't know where the other Warriors wound up in the top 100 or how many of them did. So tune into the program, hit that subscribe, hit that bell, leave a comment so it's sent to your algorithm, and we will see you soon. I gave you my thoughts. That's it. Have a great day, everyone. See ya.